Now, Egypt will receive up to $8 billion in loans and aid from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates as part of an aid package to help Egypt's devastated economy. Let's talk about that with Afshin Rattanzi, who's joining us on the line now from London. Hi, Afshin. Why this sudden generosity, then, from these two Arab states particularly? They're not really famous for giving something for nothing usually, or they simply really are genuinely wanting to help out. What do you think?
Well, if people were thinking it was an American-backed coup, obviously the United States were involved. Susan Rice and Kerry talked about. We now realize it's much more a Saudi-backed military coup. And as for this General al-Sisi person who was a former military attaché in Saudi Arabia, he's Saudi's man. And as for President Obama, he seems to be just dragging his heels over it. As Paula said, he doesn't want to use the word coup because he doesn't want to stop being able to subsidize the Egyptian military to the tune of so many hundreds of thousands of dollars. So Saudi Arabia, which has killed, I think, a man named Morsi al-Ibrahim al-Rabah in Awamiyah, because don't forget the Arab Spring is going on there and its ally in Bahrain at the same time. Saudi Arabia had a big conference on women in society, populated only by men. They've taken over the largest country in the Arab world.
By tendering these loans, are they endorsing the interim president in some way, endorsing his legitimacy, maybe?
We certainly know that Mr. Mansour and Mr. Beblawi, the Prime Minister, is perhaps more interesting here. They are puppets, of course, of the army. If they speak one word out of line, if they criticize, say, Saudi Arabia or policies such as that, or the way Bahrain is killing its people, let alone the UAE, because there's a fight here going on with Qatar. This is how complicated it is. Both the Prime Minister, interim Prime Minister and interim President will go. As for Beblawi, why he's interesting is he's a neoliberal economist, so presumably if he stays on, because he was quite courageous just after the fall of Mubarak, if he stays on, they'll keep the neoliberal policies, privatize things, there'll be increased austerity. At the same time, the people won't stand for it, which means that there'll have to be more power to the army, given and supported by the United States and Saudi Arabia. So a new pharaoh will be born.
In the interim, where's all this cash going to go?
Where's the cash? I presume that the cash, the people of Egypt realize that this $5 billion isn't going to go to support jobs programs, clean water and health care. I notice even the Tamarod, the curiously naive, according to some commentators, people that gather in Tahrir Square from the upper classes of Egypt, even they are now saying to al-Sisi, hang on a minute, we're against the 6-month or 5-month timetable that's been issued, which Jay Carney incidentally has said he's encouraged by, and so they're against it. And as for al-Sisi, he's already threatening the number 2 party that won in the elections. Number 2 came second in the elections, the Islamist Al-Noor party, saying no political games, you back us or you'll be in the kind of trouble the Muslim Brotherhood is.
Actually, you touched on this just now. I mean, first the Syrian rebels, now the Egyptian opposition. Are we going to see more of the Gulf states exerting more influence here? You're not surprised by this, I guess?
How do you mean? Sorry, I think I just lost you for a second.
We're talking about the influence there. We're talking about the money that's been paid out here today that we're hearing. Are we going to see more influence like that? We've also heard how the Syrians were influenced as well. We're going to see more of this kind of influence from the Gulf states.
Definitely. It's also interesting the media impact of this, because the UAE and Saudi definitely did not like the Muslim Brotherhood, and so the Saudi station Al Arabiya, headquartered in Dubai in the UAE, backs the rebels, and you've got Al Jazeera backed in Qatar, which is backing the Morsi government and is against the military coup. So you have both sides using media, using financing, using weapon sales to back their man in Egypt. All the time, the United States, we must remember that President Obama was backing Mubarak, his pet dictator, up until the end, seemingly not quite knowing what he's going to do, and perhaps the Saudis are threatening him. Even John McCain, the presidential candidate, used the word coup. From Obama, we get nothing, and in the mainstream media, all we get is Mohammed El-Baradei, another Nobel Prize winner like Obama, who is saying nothing about the house arrest without charge of a democratically elected president, let alone the ending of a parliament and the disruption of a free media, which continues at the moment in Egypt.
Afshin Rattanzi, thanks very much. RT contributors, yeah.